worked in a substitute office part-time for extra money, Mrs. Sarah Hill. And she saw me and I love Miss Hill and Miss Hill loved me. And she's like, what you doing here? And I said, I'm signing up to sub for Miss Walker. And I mean, I feel like that was the quickest turnaround I had ever gotten a job. And so between Miss Walker and Miss Hill, they got me processed and everything. And then I covered for Miss Walker. And so I did such a good job with the students. So, teaching high school, it's a calling,
Oh, yes.
it's a calling, and hats off to K through 12 and really hats off to high school teachers. So as I was having that experience with the high school students, I realized that I didn't like kids like that.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Like I did not have the temperament.
The temperament, yes.
I did not have the temperament. And so that kind of just really solidified that I wanted to work with adults. And so I was offered a position to teach high school, but I turned it down because I went and I took a full-time position at a proprietary school at the time. It was Regency Beauty Institute. They were a national beauty institute. And so going through all these experiences that I had initially with starting out and getting my foot in the door, I taught at Regency for about a year, and it was a private school. So for those who have worked for for-profit institutions, it's just different. It's a different hustle, And so I kind of wasn't about that because, I was really concerned about the students and them taking out loans for a large amount of money to go get a workforce certificate. That didn't sit right with me. And so then I finally got the call. This is kind of everything that changed it and kind of really accelerated my career. And so we're now at 2011 because I started trying to get my foot in the door teaching in 2009. So 2011, I get the call from Lone Star College and interviewed to teach cosmetology. I started out as an adjunct professor. I did that for a couple of years and then it just went from there and just like, boom, it just hit. So once it broke open, I got my first full-time faculty position at Lone Star College. I was the program director for their cosmetology program at their North Harris campus and loved the job, absolutely loved it. I love to work hard. I love to build things. I found out a lot of things about myself. And I think you should listen to that as you're progressing through your career. Like, I wasn't big on children and I love to build things. I kind of like to fix things, like to help people. So that was an opportunity for me to help build something from scratch and help people and showcase all like my skills with like networking and event planning. Like it was kind of like, okay, this is great. So I had at the time one of my mentors and my leaders come in, they just sat down and told me, it's like, you need to go back to school and get your master's degree. And at that time I was like happy, like I'm making money. I got a bachelor's degree. Why do I need to go back? But, she helped me to realize I wasn't going to go any further in my career.
Wow.
If I didn't get the master's degree, like that was going to be it. And so I didn't like being pigeonholed like that. Like I didn't necessarily want to be pressured to have to go and do more education, but I wasn't opposed to it. So then I got, I drank the juice, I drank the Kool-Aid, went back, got my master's degree. So now I'm on fire because, I got this master's degree, and we all go through that, when we obtain something that's, a credential that's major, it takes a lot of time. So like I am applying and I'm applying, and of course, I've been at this particular college at that time, like 5 years or so. And I'm like wanting to move up through the ranks and I'm working hard. And it was just not happening. Like it just would not move. And so I started to have like all of that. I don't want to call it negative self-talk, but I was kind of thinking like, am I blacklisted? Am I being blackballed? What is going on? Just could not move around that one position. And I, as much as I love cosmetology through and through, I just wanted to flex a different set of muscles. And I was going through, had started getting interviews, but I would be a finalist, but I would never be selected for a position. And so I got salty. I'm not going to lie about that. I think it's honest. I
Yeah,
think you should be
absolutely.
honest. I felt some kind of way about it. I felt like it was like, a marriage. Like I just wasn't getting what I was putting in to the relationship. And so I decided to kind of, what's the saying? Slow down and speed up.
Yes.
Because I had to make some calculated risks and invest in myself. And so I started to think like, how can I work to get, I didn't know if it was a me thing. I didn't know if it was a resume thing. Like I was really having some deep conversations with myself about what is going on, why I can't move around to get other positions. So I was like, well, I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to step back. I was looking into going into like temp agencies to take on some temporary positions so I can amass some different sets of skills.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially going to corporate America or something of that nature, or professional training or development. And so I had a really good girlfriend at the time, and she worked at a nonprofit, and she was a leader at a nonprofit. And so, I was going through a whole lot of changes, just like feeling hurt about how I feel like I couldn't make it work with Lone Star. Like I really felt like it was a relationship, and I don't really feel like that's healthy. But I think
Mm-hmm.
women need to discuss this, how we see ourselves in the workplace, because we go above and beyond, kind of like in relationships,
Oh,
our
yes.
family or loved ones or partners or whatnot. And so, we were talking about it. We were debriefing, like at happy hour. And she was like, well, I got a position that's open, it's grant funded. And we worked together. So I knew her work ethic and she knew mine. She was like, you want to come work for me? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. It was something totally different that I had never
Mm.
experienced. And so I accepted the position at Baker Ripley. It's a local nonprofit. It's a subsidiary of the United Way, and I was a career coach. And so I did that. Let's see, I started like in May, and I finished that project up in December.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really, really, really hard job because we were housed like in a career center. And so we were dealing with people from all walks of life. But the thing was, it wasn't the people that sometimes you had to go and get your mind right. It was their situation. I
Wow.
heard some really, really hard things to hear with these people struggling to get employment or their benefits or whatnot. So I did that, and I was able to network and kind of move around a little bit more in the city of Houston and meet other people with other agencies, and kind of I like when that particular job, I feel like that one particular job, that's how my network exploded,
Wow.
because I was meeting these people from various industries that had various skill sets, that had various connections, and I'm connecting with them on LinkedIn. And when you connect on LinkedIn, then you're connecting with a whole new network. So
Yes.
had really just got into LinkedIn around that time. So we are now, fast forward, to give you a timeline, we're now in 2018. And I'm not on, that's the only social media platform that I'm on. So that lets you know something. I'm one of those anti-social media people, for me. I don't knock it for other people, but it's just not for me.
Sure.
But I had to get on it for an assignment in my master's program, and I didn't want to. I almost like was like gonna take the L on my GPA because I was so adamant about not being on social media, but I went
Wow.
ahead and done it. And then so when I found out how to really navigate it and how it could work for you and the different features, I kind of was like, I can do this because this is professional. Um, so they could really, 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 really helped with that. And so kind of at the end, the project starting to wind down because the grant is over, and they're trying to figure out, how to reabsorb the team members that's on this particular project. And I really didn't have, like, I wasn't anxious.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, when it comes to losing employment or whatnot, I really wasn't anxious around it. I just saw it as an opportunity. I had secured part-time employment
Okay.
Houston Community College. At the time, my mentor was the president of a campus, and they needed a part-time program manager for their continuing education welding program.
Wow.
And when she called, she was like, I got something I think may, if you're interested, that you'll be great for. And so when she didn't really tell me what it was. And I came to her office and she told me what it was. And I was like, okay, so, welding. Okay. I'm all ears. And she was like, listen, I know you don't know anything about welding. I know you don't have a background in welding, but what you do have a great background is getting things out into the community and visible, like how to advertise. And that's what we need. We have a really good program, but the community doesn't know about it. And I was like, oh, you just want me to get out in the community and get out with my bullhorn about what's going on and what you got and funding and scholarships and schedules? She was like, yeah. So I took that position on like in October of 2018. And so I'm still applying for full-time. And then I get the call from San Jac to come interview. And I was like, well, okay, let's see where this goes. And, and I liked it. Like, I liked the interview process that San Jac put me through. I had never experienced anything like that in my life. It was a panel interview. It was by far the largest panel interview that I had ever participating in. I think it was 7 people on the panel. And at the end, I was like, oh wow, I felt really good about the interview. I just knew, like, I felt the energy. And so that's one of those things that I learned in life about fit. You shouldn't really focus on if people are interviewing you. You need to flip the script and interview them.
That's right.
And I feel like we sleep on that, but maybe as we get older, we get more mature and we have different experiences, that becomes number one. But that's just a nugget, I would love to put out there. Like, you're going into the interview and they're assessing you for a fit for culture or whatnot, but you also need to assess them for a fit.
Love that.
I felt it. Like, I felt the energy when we were sitting there. I was like, oh, I feel like these some good people. So then I came back and I had my finals interview and I felt the energy with the leadership. And I was like, okay, I can do this. I kind of felt like they were like me. Like, I had a chip on my shoulder and I had some edge. And they had a chip on their shoulder. And
Oh
they had
my.
an edge, and I said, okay, well, we can do this. Like, maybe they're getting to the Super Bowl. This is their year. And so now fast forward, it's 2019. It's 2019. I started January 2019. I'm talking about I hit the ground running.
Wow.
San Jac. Like, I mean, my first year at San Jac was phenomenal. I just feel like I should have got like the rookie of the year. That's how I felt about my first year at San Jac. And it was so hot. I could feel it. Like, I felt like I was vibrating coming out of 2019. And so we're like, oh, we're going to crush 2020. You couldn't have told me we couldn't have crushed 2020. We're all coming in this thing together. Got a
Yes.
great team. The team is in sync. We got our marching orders. We got great leadership. And then a little thing known as COVID hit.
Oh.
Ooh, and if you ever, like mentally, physically, spiritually felt like you've had the air bust out your balloon,
That's the time.
that was the time. That was the time. That was like, whoo, that hurt. And so all the momentum, what hurt, I think, was all the momentum that was building, we had to put on pause. So we fast forward and we're working through it. So now I think we got to here. So we get to, let's see, we're in 2024 now. Let me go back to 2023. And so during this whole time, I have a great team. And not only I had a great team, I have great leadership. And so at the time, my direct leader, Dr. Heather Rhodes, you know, she was working, she's getting her doctorate, and she's totally killing the game. You know, she's moving and shaking, and she's getting this doctorate on top of everything. So I don't know if people went through that process, but my heart goes out to people when they're getting their doctorate. Now, if
Yes.
I know somebody in my network that's getting their doctorate, especially a woman,
Oh, yes.
especially Black women, you know, reach out and check on them, y'all. Like it's a whole nother level of flow
And discipline.
and discipline. Yes.
Yes.
And so like she was working on that doctorate, and I was like, I got you. You ain't gonna have nothing. You won't have a squeak coming out my area. You just do what you need to do. You need to focus. We got you. And I think that me and the other two department chairs were in sync when it came to that, because we wanted to see her succeed. So she gets her doctorate, and so she is like, okay, like we holding up. What you gonna do? Like, you know, she's hot. You know, like she has the it factor. And so she applied for another position, a VP of Academic Affairs, and she gets it. She got the position. So we're celebrating. And then it goes from she gets it, then everybody was like, are you going to apply for Dean? And I really hadn't even got that far. It was just getting her, you know, cheerleading for her. And so, you know, I started to think about it. And it's not that Dean wasn't ever on my bingo card. I guess it was just like right there. And I was like, well, I guess it's time. You know, I had to really make a calculated decision. I was just at a really good place in my life this year. Like my son graduated high school last year in 2023. So I had a taste of being an empty nester.
Yes. Congratulations to your son and to you.
Thank you. Congratulations to me. I think.
I said to you too.
Yes, it's all like
To both of you.
look, I threw him a graduation party, but it was really my party, you know, like
I
that's
love it.
I love it. Like you, another thing, you know, shout out to the parents that get their children through that, you know,
Yes.
see that thing through. And so I could Ty, I just felt like for the first time in 20 years, I had just took my first breath.
Wow.
And that's really powerful. Like the first breath you ever take in life, like it was like that one. Like I could
Wow.
just, whew. So I think when I took that breath, because I hadn't even realized I had been holding my breath for 20 years.
Huh.
You know, I
Yeah.
hadn't
Oh, yeah.
realized that. And so to come back and say, okay, come on, it's time. They calling you off the bench. And I was like, okay, can I mentally do this? Because I know I can do the job. I knew I
Right.
could do the job. But it was just mentally getting my head wrapped around it. So going through that process, I think I was more apprehensive about what it was going to take to get there, to get my foot in the door to be considered a contender.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, the older we get, I don't know, I can't speak for everybody else. Let me say this. Let me not put this on everybody else. But the older I get, I'm really just not about jumping through hoops anymore.
Right. That's right. Because you've done enough jumping. You've done a lot. So
I have done a lot.
you've earned the position.
Yes,
So,
I think
yes.
I've done a lot of jumping and
Yeah.
stretching and everything. So to come and, you know, when you start talking about these senior level positions and applying and interviewing, it's a totally different head, you know, mind frame,
Headspace. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
headspace. Yes. So that took my whole summer.
Wow.
That took my whole summer. And I'm just telling this to people so they can kind of have a timeline of these processes, because I think they think it's quick. If you're going up for these department chair or dean positions or even presidents. So these are lengthy application, interview, hiring processes, right? So our stuff started like from the time that Heather vacated the position in May, the end of May, you know, we start interviewing in June. There's one set of interviews in June, and then there's another set kind of mid-June, and then July 1st, I'm in a position, I'm hitting the ground running again. So
Wow.
that's where I'm at with it.
Wow. So you've talked about a lot, right? You've talked about the different educations that you've been blessed and you soared through. And then you talk about going through your divorce and becoming a single mother on top of all of the other amazing things that you have done, being a cosmetologist, which in itself is a counselor, the minister to other people, right?
Yes,
So you're not only just giving yourself to yourself, but you're having to give yourself to your child and then to all of your clients and then to all of your employees that rent booths from you or that's partner with you. And then here you go with the education and then the jobs and then amazing opportunities opening up for you. Tell me, how do you find Tiffany? We can always talk about other people, but personally, how do you find that work home life balance? And do you think that that's important? Or is your work, I know I'm giving you a boat of questions here, so try
mhm,
to follow me,
I got you.
but do you think that your work wouldn't necessarily need the life balance portion because it's something that you love doing?
I got you. Okay, so I'm gonna try to wrap this up in a nice bow.
Okay,
I personally, and I don't want to go out and advocate for this for everyone.
sure.
I personally don't believe in work-life balance just because of the type of positions that I have had.
Love that.
The schedule is just not static. Like
Hmm.
I gotta get it where the getting is good. I think that came from, working for myself. Um, and if I'm not booking appointments, then I'm not earning income. And whatever my responsibilities are not being met.
That's right.
And so that's how I approach work. Um, so however, I pride myself on my work ethic. I pride myself on being a hard worker, but I play just as hard as I work. I want to convey that. So it's not all work and no play. So when I'm off, I'm off. I'm not having email notifications on my phone. Um, I'm quick to say no.
Good.
I'm big on boundaries. And so I'm not big on taking on a lot of other people's nonsense. Like I will help or support anybody that's really trying to see their way through something and legitimately trying to see their way through something.
Sure.
I just don't take on random nonsense.
I call it buffoonery.
Yeah, yeah. So, um, like certain things, like I believe you are what you eat.
Yeah.
And not only just like with nourishing your body, but nourishing your mind. Um, like that's why I'm not on some social medias. Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
and even if I'm on LinkedIn and one of those posts goes sideways, I'm kind of deleting it or I'm unconnecting from that person because I don't want that popping up on my feed.
Right.
I don't watch certain things on TV. Um, I really want to wake up with joy, a smile on my face. I don't want to be in anguish. I don't want to have anxiety, and I don't want to go to bed that way either.
That's right.
So
Because you are what you ingest and digest.
yes,
That's
yes,
right.
yes. So yeah, I mean, I would love to get to a place where I could I call it a regular job. You know how people come in at 8 and they get to leave at 4:30?
Oh, I
I
don't know
feel
what
like
that means. What's
yeah,
that?
yeah, I really would love that. I would love to have that, get off, go work out, go home, cook dinner. I really would love that. I think that's going to be like my retirement job.
Okay.
Like when I start on the end of my career arc, that's going to be my life. Like, hey, or working from home or whatnot, solely remote. But right now, it is what it is. I have to touch a lot of things and I touch a lot of people
Oh,
in
yeah.
the span of the day. So,
Now, you mentioned the word joy. How do
yeah,
you find joy in amongst all the things that you're doing?
I feel like people got to understand joy is internal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go and find joy, right?
Love that. Uh-huh.
I wake up with joy in my heart. I wake up with a song in my heart. I love to laugh. I love to dance. Um, I love beautiful things like if it's sunsets, flowers,
Mm-hmm.
sceneries. Uh, if something's like comforting, like a soft blanket. I love a good movie. Just you have to kind of you have to invest in those things in yourself. And I think, I don't know, some people are scared to be happy and joyful, or they don't know how to be, like they wasn't raised to be that way.
Right.
But I was raised to be, to, to, to wake up joyful and happy. Like, and I really, when I'm not that way and I'm irritated and I'm angry or I'm snappy or nippy at people, I'd be like, okay, let me go and close the door. Because this is not the energy that I'm seeking to give off. Because if I'm there, it's taking me out of my headspace that I don't want to be in.
And it takes so much more energy to be in an unhappy space and to be angry, and it tires you out and drains you, right?
Yes, it does. And I observe people a lot. I think that it's customary. People don't know a different way of being,
Right.
because I think it's their social groups and their family, and they've seen that with their grandmother and their mother and their father. They don't know. It's like how some people said they never heard their mother or father tell them I love you.
Yes, I've heard
Yes.
that.
And so if you're not accustomed to somebody saying I love you, then it's hard for you to say I love you to someone.
Right.
If you're not accustomed to receiving compliments from someone, then it may be hard for you to compliment someone.
Yes. Wow. Now, what do you feel like your purpose is in life, or do you feel like that's something that you're still working on, working
Uh,
towards?
no, I know my purpose.
Love that.
My purpose is to help people get through difficult situations.
Mm,
I just feel that I'm here to be a conveyor of information and random information. I've been like that since I was a little girl. I can hold on to the most randomest information, and then I'll bump into a total stranger and they'll just kind of be talking about this issue they have. And I could be like, hey, I read about this, and this, and this. Maybe you should go and check on this. And if it pans out, great. If it doesn't, great. But still, I was able to share the information. That's how I feel. So, like in this role, I'll just use this role as an example.
hmm
Um, you know, I try to put everything that comes across my desk or my email. I really do try to read it, because I never know if it'll be of a benefit to the student, especially when it comes to like financial aid information, scholarship information, or changes to some type of process, right? Or some type
Right.
of resource or wraparound service that they could be eligible for. So, I'm just here to support, and I feel like I'm here to support in life, not just because I'm a dean. You know, I'm going to give support in the grocery store, in the line behind the lady. It's like, did you think about this? Okay, well, I didn't ask you. Like, okay, but I just offered.
That's right. Because it may help you. And when you get in your car, that you might ponder that. It's okay. I heard what she said. You know what? I didn't think about it like that. And it may not even be right away. It could be a day later, a week later, a month later. This lady at the grocery store with her inquisitive self.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, that's my purpose. That's
That's
just,
right.
I'm a conveyor of information. That's how I feel about it.
I love that. Now, what do you feel like has been your biggest success thus far, other than helping your child to get through high school and starting college and things like that? But outside of that, more importantly, yourself, what do you think has been your biggest success thus far?
I think my biggest success thus far is making it to this point in my life where I can um support my, like, not like financially, but anything that my family needs. If I got to put my hands on something, or I'm in a place to take them to a doctor's appointment, um I'm on I'm in I'm available to do anything they need with legal purposes.
hmm
Just being that person and stepping into, I guess, almost a matriarch. I'm not quite there. I don't feel like I'm old enough yet,
Okay.
but like I am assuming the position
I love that. Oh,
to
wow. I love
be
that.
that responsible person in my family. And not that I'm not going to say to lead my family, but like, they know they can count on me if there's some type of emergency, or if it's something that needs to be done, they can count on me for that.
So Tiffany the General.
Yeah, the general,
There you go.
the general, I'll say that.
Absolutely. So now let's ask this. Have you faced any adversities? And if so, like share a little about your experiences and how you overcame them, like whatever the adversity may have been work or in life in general, and how did you handle them?
Hmm. I'm just gonna say this. Everything looks good and all polished now, but of course, we make bad decisions. I made several bad decisions that took me off a detour
Mm-hmm.
in life, and I had to kind of course correct and then work my way back onto the path.
Wow.
So nothing major,
Mm-hmm.
but those things do kind of delay your arrival time.
Right. They push pause.
Yeah, they push pause on stuff, and you go, why did I do that? Like I would like to say, like my ex-husband, good guy, we just shouldn't have got married,
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Great guy, but just we shouldn't have got married. So I think with those kind of adversity, just really realizing, for me, realizing where I went off, like where was I step off, and just focus on a recalibration and not living in it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people can get mired in woe is me. Now, as far as adversity in relations to being a woman or a Black woman,
Mm-hmm.
I can really say that I have been blessed. Maybe because of my upbringing, and I started like the first 20 years of my life, I was in a majority minority environment.
Mm.
So like I didn't really know I was different until I got to
Wow.
college. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm talking about really just a very dynamic environment that I grew
Mm-hmm.
up in, well, with people of color, Black and Hispanic. So I didn't know what it was like to be around a majority other races until I got to University of St. Thomas. And then I
Wow.
got there and it was majority international students.
Wow.
Yeah. And so when it comes to work, I have always been fortunate to report to women, other women.
Okay.
I've only had so far 2 men that I have reported directly to, and they were great. They were great leaders. But all of my majority of my leaders have been female.
So
So
you didn't really have to face any challenges of being a woman, one, being a woman, and then being a person of color in your industry because of the opportunities you were afforded. Is that what I'm hearing?
yeah, I would pretty much say that.
Wow.
Like, like my environment, I grew up in a predominantly Black and Hispanic neighborhood. Um, I get to college, it's predominantly international. I start working as a professional, I'm reporting to majority females.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and now I'm at a college where we have a woman as chancellor, a woman as the president. We have several women as associate vice chancellors.
Wow. So women are leading.
Yeah, like I think I just don't know any different. I've been blessed in that way.
Queens. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So what part of your position, like what is the favorite part about your current position?
Well, my favorite part of the position is the favorite thing about the job, like just working for San Jacinto College.
Uh-huh.
One is the people. I love my campus. The people are just really, really caring and supportive, like whatever it takes. You know, we gonna celebrate together. We're gonna grieve together.
Mm-hmm.
We work hard together. So it's extremely collaborative. It's not too much that's gonna fall through the cracks because you don't work well with someone.
Right.
So, and then the next thing, now in this particular position, you know, oh, the learning curve is so steep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's steep. And then I'm taking the curve on 2 wheels every day. Like I gotta just go through it. And so I'm learning so much at such a fast pace. It's scary.
So what do you feel like is the biggest challenge for educators today then?
Oh, wow. I think that's an awesome question. Because we've been having this discussion like on loop for the last couple semesters.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one thing because as an educator that I do, I compare my educational experience to the current students' educational experience.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I don't think that's fair, but I also want to give myself some grace because we have never experienced growing up in this day and age.
Okay.
I'll give you an example.
Yes.
When I was growing up, we had encyclopedia sets in the house,
Mm-hmm.
like the set.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And
The big burgundy ones or those green ones
it
or
was
those
like
brown ones?
the brown, the camel
The brown
color
ones,
ones.
yes.
Okay, and so
Yes.
they wasn't even current when they got to me because my brother and my brother's 18 years older than me, and my sister is 16 years older than me, and it was their sets of encyclopedias that I had to use, right?
Wow.
But if I wanted to learn how to spell something correctly, I had to use a dictionary, a big one. I had to use a thesaurus, a big one.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to do research, I had a library card. And I went to the libraries and I did all my research. And I went to the little card catalog thing to learn how to look up something.
Oh,
right.
yes.
Right. And so there was no online courses. I went to class every day. If I had questions, I had to physically make a point to go meet with my professor or my teacher during their office hours. And so you really worked for your education. Let me
Sure
say.
did.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
All right. Would that be fair to say?
Oh,
Like you
no,
had to
that's
put some
great to say. There was no paying somebody online to do it for you. I loved, kind of before you continue, I love going to the library and writing my name in the back. Like who had this book before me, after me? Or going to take your library card just to say, I feel important to do that. I did get fined a lot because I would write in the books. As I'm reading, I would write like statements or correct people's writing, the book, the authors. But that was the best part of being able to touch it and
Yeah,
to
and
see it
then
in print.
I was the one notorious for having to pay the fees because I didn't turn the book in on time.
Oh Lord, no.
Because it's a good book is a thing. So I want to say we touched our education.
Mhm.
I'm trying to find a more
I
sophisticated
love that. No,
way.
that's good.
Okay, we really touched our education, right? We were really hands-on. We were in it, right?
Yes.
Okay. The students we have today,
Mm.
right? They don't touch their book, they touch their phone,
Yes.
right? They don't write their paper. They're not taught how to proofread their papers. Like everything can be generated for them.
Yes. AI, whatever chat GTP, all that other stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. And in addition to getting the research off of the phone, they're getting so much other information on the phone. They cannot tell what is accurate and truthful, right?
Right.
Right. And we had to interact with other people during our education, and it was mandatory. They
Yes.
don't necessarily have to do so.
They can't cite properly. They don't know to cite, how to cite it, how to put it into what format of FMLA, whatever MLA or whatever it is. They don't know how to do it. Penmanship, it's not that great either.
Yeah, I mean, I go. I go nuts having to, when I assign writing assignments, because like all of the contractions are driving me nuts.
Oh,
And
oh,
all of the text talk is driving me
ugh.
nuts. And it's just standard.
Makes you itch.
That is it. And so we don't know what to do with this, right? But we
Yeah.
have to be, the one thing I want to employ on your listeners is we have to be hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot give up, because this is literally our future.
Yes.
These are our leaders. These are our industry leaders. These will be your grandbabies' teachers. These will be your grandbabies' doctors. This will
Yeah.
be your bankers. Like, we have to remember that. We just can't throw them away because we don't agree with how they are learning,
That's right.
how they want to learn.
Meet them where they are.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Wow. So in addition to being in academics, you have, we'll pivot back a little bit. You've been a licensed cosmetologist. Now, do you still do hair to this day, or is that even in your bandwidth?
No, I barely comb my own hair.
Oh my gosh, listen at you.
I
Okay.
barely comb my own hair, and so, but I
Okay.
still have the spirit. I still have the spirit of an old hairstylist.
Okay.
Every time you see me, my hair will be different, but I'm not the one doing it.
Okay. Understood. Understood. So you have that passion. Okay. I understand that. Now, what would you say the similarities are, or if there are any at all, excuse me, in the world of cosmetology as well as education? Because I would think they go hand in hand. But what is your take on it as the profession in both?
Education and cosmetology.
Yeah.
So
How are they similar?
okay, so are you looking at cosmetology for as like as the entrepreneurship aspect or the creative aspect, or
Well, I would say you can't have it without encompassing all that, in my opinion.
right?
Right?
Let me see. Education versus cosmetology.
What are the similarities in
Well,
your eyes?
in my eyes, if you're educator and if you're a cosmetologist, you are going to be like, if you're educator, the student is really your client.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're a cosmetologist, the public is your client. So
Mm,
you have to have a certain balance with your soft skills, because that's our business. Like, if educators are poor educators and they're nasty to students, the students don't come back,
mm,
which affects enrollment, right?
right.
If the hairstylist is a nasty hairstylist to their clients, the clients don't come back,
Correct.
which affects revenue for the salon. So that's one aspect. Trying to see what else. It's really, really the soft skills part.
Okay.
The soft skills piece. Just dealing with people.
Mhm.
Yeah, with education, you're gonna deal with students from all walks of life.
Yeah,
With cosmetology, you're gonna deal with clients from all walks of life.
that's right. That's right.
With education, um, you have to be ready on standby to kind of, I don't want to say mother, because I don't want to exclude men, so I'm
Sure.
gonna say parent.
Got it.
Like to fill that void that student is missing, whether it's like a mother, father, auntie, but someone they can trust, and that can give them sound advice and encouragement, right? And the same thing with a cosmetologist. We may have to be that person, that safe person for a
Hmm.
client, just like an educator is a safe person for the student.
So really, they both, if we narrow it down to one word, counselor.
Counselor, yeah.
That's really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Now, what is your vision in your role at San Jack, as you're calling it? What do you see your vision for your role continuing on, since you're new to it? But where do you see you taking this to?
Well, right now things are extremely dynamic.
Okay.
We remember I said we had a chip on our shoulder.
Yes. Yes. Both of you.
And I
And then,
don't
yes.
mean it in a bad way, but I mean we're coming. We want that ring. You know,
Okay.
we want to be number one.
Wow.
And so we work hard to be known as number one. You know, we approach everything we do to be the first, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're really big on that. So we keep that hustle about us. So for me, I'm so new in the role. I just want to, do well in the role. I want to make my team proud. I want to make leadership proud. I want the students to be happy and to flourish during my tenure as the dean here. I want the faculty to feel empowered and to feel that they can be innovative and creative within their own disciplines and try new things and bring fresh ideas to their areas, if it's certain things that we hadn't thought about before.
Okay.
Down the line, because we have so much, we're getting ready to have another growth spurt, I feel.
So you feels like, far as like you're speaking of enrollment.
I feel like not enrollment, yes and no, but also with different initiatives that we're launching.
Okay.
We're launching like 5 things at the same time.
Wow.
And so, yeah, some change agents. And so once the dust settles, I think we're laying the groundwork from some really, really dynamic pathways for the faculty and students.
Wow. Now, would you say that San Jac is already diverse, or how do you encourage the diversity at San Jac?
We're pretty diverse. About 70% of our student body identifies as Hispanic or Latinx. What we could do, what I think that we've been focusing on, is diversifying faculty and staff, especially faculty.
Okay.
It's just getting the word out, I think, that we're here and the programs that we have and attracting that diverse individuals. Like right now, let's see how many, I have 2 positions posted from my area. I'm getting ready to post a 3rd. But I haven't been getting as much traction with applicants as I would prefer.
As far as diversity.
Just in numbers.
And just the numbers, period.
Yeah,
Wow.
like right now, I want human beings first.
Right. You need people you need willing and able bodies combined.
Yeah, it qualified. First,
Right.
Let's start with the first thing. Let's look at qualified individuals, and then we'll get to all the bells and whistles after that. It's just getting them out there. I think people, for me, for workforce, attracting bare minimum qualified individuals, and then we start, shifting that pot with that pan with diversity. A lot of people in technical fields are making great money and they're having great careers. So they don't necessarily want to leave industry to come to teach.
Understood.
So I think that's one of the barriers, Ty. How can we make teaching in community colleges in general attractive?
That's right. More attractive. That's right.
More attractive so we can get the diversity.
People are afraid of education, I think. A lot of people, because there's always that stigma, well, not even necessarily stigma, it is somewhat true, that they're not paid enough. They give so much, but financially, they're not getting enough.
Yes. And, I can say that I feel like San Jac does well with the compensation piece. But overall, for community colleges, when you start, or higher ed, one thing we just need to have a collective conversation about in higher ed in general, like when you start off, it's like as faculty or in student services, they're scraping by. Like it takes you about 10 years to really hit your stride financially.
Wow.
Before you really can see it.
Right.
You really have to stick with it.
Wow.
And it would just be nice if it wasn't like that for education in general.
Mm. So speaking of higher education, you're leading and hosting a session called Hour of Power with the organization Abway, or, and the power of being present in your career. And
Yes.
then will you share some tips that you're going to share on elevating, with the attendees about their career, elevating their career, and then more about Our Power. And like I said, some of those tips about the importance of having those type of conversations and not being afraid to have those conversations.
Yes, thank you. I just really want to highlight that it's important. When I say being present, it's meant to be physically present, but also mentally present and aware
Mm-hmm.
in your career. I think for women, we sometimes we're in autopilot in life, right? We have so much
Yes,
going on and we check out and we don't even know we done checked out a lot of the time,
I
like,
can relate.
yeah, if we working and we got our family responsibilities, and then don't be going back to school. Don't be trying to be social. Like, don't needing to be checking on your mama or your auntie. Like, we have a lot of responsibilities just baked in, right? So
Yes.
I just want to kind of highlight things that they may be overlooking as they're progressing, opportunities they may be overlooking as they're progressing through their career. Yeah, especially when it comes to networking, like making sure they're re-engaging with their alumni associations from their previous institutions that they attended and obtained degrees from, reconnecting with their sorors, um, professional associations.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we kind of like, I don't want to do that. But getting connected with a professional association, even if it's one that's by a craft, like if you're a STEM, or if it's just like a particular interest group that you want to support. And then all of the informal ways that we can use to promote our career that we kind of that are underutilized, like cross-departmental collaboration at some of our institutions. We kind of sleep on that.
Yes.
Mentorship is a big one. Whether you're being mentored or you're doing the mentoring,
Mm-hmm.
just the reach one, teach one, like, keep the circle of positivity and encouragement going,
The
right?
trickle down effect.
The
Uh-huh.
trickle down effect, somebody pour into you, it's your obligation to pour into another, right?
Absolutely.
And then just those constructs that we already kind of have built into our life that we may not be utilizing, like our churches or wherever we play our places of worship, the salon,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and volunteer opportunities. I really just want to highlight how people can bloom and be authentic and be present in their career so it can help support their career trajectory.
Absolutely. So blooming where they're planted.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
And
when you
bloom is
were,
big, taking up space.
oh yeah. Yeah. So when you were asked or you found interest in lending your time and all of your energy to the community organization such as Appway, and for those of you that are listening do not know, it's the Association of Black Women in Higher Education Incorporated, and then also there's the other organization I believe you belong to is the American Association of Blacks in Higher Education.
Yes.
So, what drives you or gives you that motivation to join these organizations or to be, I don't know, be picky about who you're going to lend your time and energy to?
Well, that's a great question. For me, it was the people that I connected with initially with these organizations, and it was the energy that they were going off,
Mm,
like they were giving off. Because I would sit there and I'd be like, God, how do they find time? Just kind of the bird's eye view of it, you looking in, it's like, how do they find time to do all that? Like they are professionals in their own right, beasts in their own right, right? And then they come and they're super active in these associations. And I mean whole positions, the president, the treasurer, whatnot, and they're active, like they're going to the conferences and they're speaking. And so at first I did not understand it, right? I was like, what is this? And but then I got into these organizations and I started participating, and it kind of gives you a breath of fresh air. It gives you the wings that you need.
That's
You know,
awesome.
and you can't do them all, right?
Right.
But you could do a couple. You know, if one thing that I would like to encourage your listeners, if they have an opportunity to look into these organizations, or if they've already looked, give them a second look and see how you can be of service and how they can be of service to you.
Absolutely. So as we get closer to ending for tonight, and we would love to have you come on again and just see where you are, later on in your growth and your position and what else is new for Tiffany, the general, right? So what advice, because you did talk about the challenge of trying to get women to, or staff period, to join right now, to apply and to check the box to be at San Jac. So what advice would you give to women and girls interested in pursuing a career in higher education?
And yes, you said it in the beginning, mindset is everything. I love that quote. Your mindset is everything. Everything you do is not always going to be about the money. You know, I know everything we hear today in society is about get your paper, you know, all of that. And that's good.
Right.
You want to get your paper. You want to be, you want to command your worth. I would never want to encourage somebody to diminish their worth. But also, there is something to be said about investing in yourself and investing in your happiness and investing in your legacy. And so, as you are working toward building your career, also look how that is on a tangent towards your legacy. You know, because your job is your job, but your legacy is here. You know, if this is what, when you leave, this is the one thing that is going to remain. So look at your legacy and how that aligns with your career.
Yeah. And that was a one grade. I can't remember so I'll just say the unknown person when we talked about citing once said, JOB, just over broke. That's what a job is. So when you mention legacy, that's what counts there, making sure that legacy is there, because the JOB is a job just over broke.
Yeah, and if you're going from job to job, you know, you're really wearing yourself out.
That's right.
You're wearing yourself out. So you want to get something, and you're gonna have to invest the time with education. I mean, it's one of those jobs. It's a very rewarding job.
And sacrifice.
But it's
Good
a lot
one.
of stuff,
A
and
good.
it can be frustrating, but it's a wonderful job. It's one of those
Absolutely.
jobs when you put your head down on the pillow at night, you're gonna sleep solid because you know you left it all on the field.
I love that. Left it all on the table. Now let's quickly pivot back and give that same ask about cosmetology, because we know, I'll just give you a quick personal spill. My daughter started her cosmetology business at the age of 14.
Okay.
And she is now in her first month of college in Savannah. And she does hair, and she does very well. And she has a lot of clientele here, back home in Georgia, Marietta, and then also in Savannah. And so what advice would you give to young girls and women interested in pursuing a career in cosmetology? Because like you said, it's all education and counseling.
Yeah, like stay on top of your trends. Like this is treat it as the profession that it is. Go to school for it. When you come out of school, continue to seek your professional development. Because it's one of those careers, it can be a lifelong career. I know a lot of people that are lifelong cosmetologists that have had very fulfilling careers, but you have to be stay on the beat, the pulse. You know, you have to be willing to pivot and stay creative. and not be stagnant and have tunnel vision. Long are gone are the days where they have those hairstylists that only do one or two different types of hairstyles.
Oh, don't remind me. My head hurt already when you said it. I can think about my auntie Eulabelle every Saturday morning. I gotta go and sit in her chair and she put that hot comb in my head and and curl my
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah, I mean, that's really how I got built my clientele. At JCPenney, the other ladies, they had massive clienteles. And so they could afford to say what type of whatever they did or did not do. And so if it was a hairstyle that they didn't do, and like the mother would come in, they would bring the daughter, and the daughter wanted some kind of hairstyle, and they'd be like, I don't do that, honey. Tiffany can do that. And I would do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no matter what, whoever walked through that door, they showed me a picture. I was like, you know what? I don't know how to do this, but they don't need to know.
You're gonna do it today. They're gonna walk out what they asked for, right?
Yes, I'm over. So, just having that spirit to stay on top of the trends, that's gonna give your career longevity. Yes, and as a hairstylist. Because we see so many people now, like on social media, and they're just all about, the clicks. Like,
Yeah.
like they do one thing, they're doing a lot of the lashes or they're doing the makeup, and that's their one thing, but you don't want to be a one-trick pony.
One trick pony. All right.
Yeah, no one-trick pony.
I love that. So now we already know that you just started in this new position.
Yes.
However, you still are individual and you have your personal life. But what is next for Tiffany Burton?
Oh, next, professionally, I gotta find time to sit down and research some doctoral programs.
Okay.
That would be the next professional venture. And so that's why I didn't want to give you a non-committal answer about the position, like the next position.
Sure.
But I feel like whatever the next thing is, I will need a doctorate, so I can be positioned well against the competition.
Absolutely.
Now, the higher you get, the more competitive it gets,
Oh, yes.
And the good thing is, which, that I'm happy, I am seeing more people, especially Black people, pursue doctoral degrees. And that I'm really enthused about that. So that helps, especially when you're talking about diversity, because that's one of the things that knocks us out.
Right. The education.
Education for these senior
Yes.
leadership positions.
Mhm.
So the doctorate degree, personally, I'm just looking forward to getting some good vacation time in.
Okay.
I'm starting to plan for next summer. I'm gonna take a couple weeks off. Me and my son gonna do a family vacation, and just kind of in that spirit of the family and the friends, just kind of leaning into that.
I love that. I
Mhm.
love that a lot. Okay. Well, is there anything else you would like to leave with the listeners or say to them before we end?
I just want to thank y'all for joining and supporting Miss Ty. And, if you have a chance, take a look at San Jacinto College. We're doing big things down here in Houston, Texas. Um, and if you haven't had a chance to come to Houston, I'm gonna throw a shameless plug out to Houston. We're a poppin' city. So if you're looking for somewhere to come have like a quick weekend vacation, we'll have you and show you a good time.
And as they say, everything's big in Texas.
Everything's big in Texas. So y'all come on and show y'all a good time, or come for a game or some good food.
Well, awesome, awesome. So, Tiffany, again, I thank you for joining Hindsight Media Radio 103.5 FM, where there's always something good to talk about. And to the listeners, always remember to go to www.hindsightmediaradio.com. And I thank you guys for tuning in, and Tiffany does as well. You guys have a good night.